Hey everybody, it's Bust with Expedition Trial number 286. Let's see who shows up. Interesting. I think it's one of these spots where you just end up being in a Lee Sin deck. It's not a particularly exciting set of champions, but I could go for Lee Sin. I'm trying to think if any of this actually like pairs up with the new cards, and I guess I have kind of like run in my head that what happens if we try to just like draft these Callista pools and then backdoor it into a like a Kindred style deck, since there's so much overlap between the card pools, and I do still feel like I'm kind of weak as far as drafting the proper proportions of these Callista numbers, but we did just actually draft her like 3 trials ago, and so let's go with something different. Let's at least just go with this. I'm thinking of just going with the Draven, and I think we probably just have to random number generate this one. Hang on, let me see. All right, here we go. On the sweet site, I assume this is going to do what we're going to need it to do. Generate the number between 1 and 3, and it's a 3. All right, I was leaning towards that Draven anyways, so that's who we're going to be taking here. It's a Scrapheap Draven. Let's get him pulled up on the site real quick. If you're not familiar, it's ftpbus.com. It's where I keep all of my expedition-related content. I didn't quite notice this, but I guess it's appropriate to have this dice ad show up on the site right after you right after you search for random number generator. But nonetheless, let's take a peek at Draven. And so, yeah, like the idea with this pool, it's around getting some kind of value out of discards, and so pairs up with Jinx. Of course, Jinx loves it if you just discard your hand. That's how you get her to flip. And then there's kind of two sides to the coin, in the sense that you either want things to be discarding, and so you either want something like, say, vision or survival skills that give you some kind of bonus for discarding it, or you just want to have some kind of like garbage cards in your hand that you don't care to actually discard. That's typically generated cards that we get from something like Spinning Axe out of Draven, Reforges out of Blade Squires, Puff Caps or ballistic bots out of the Jinx side, right? And so, number one is you want to have something reasonable to discard. Thing number two is you need some kind of discard outlet. And so, to actually discard the cards, you can use Draven and his spinning axes. Out of Jinx, you can use something like Get Excited. You can use something like Rummage. It's just kind of like the two pieces to the puzzle here. So as far as that's concerned, I like to just go about that kind of incidentally. Like, I don't want to go out of my way to, put survival skills or visions in our deck. If we find survival skills, we'll play it. If we find a vision, then it's kind of whatever. But we're not going to like actively be seeking this deck to where we're trying to discard our hand really quickly. We're just going to be happy enough if we have a Rummage and discard a Spinning Axe to it. And so on the actual like deck building side, though, this Scrapheap Draven is very good at being aggressive. Has all of the Reforge cards in Blade Squire, Runeweaver, and Weapon Hilt. So all of these tend to be, play well towards a really good early game. And then, of course, we've got Draven's Biggest Fan, Legion, Rearguard, Saboteurs. So it has all of the 1-drops in it. And it just does very well as a kind of go wide strategy, right? We're going to find things like Crowd Favorite. We're going to have Vision. You can find things like Arena Battlecaster out of the Arachnophilia Draven. It's just a lot of things that kick off by having a lot of units on the board. So old Draven here does love being aggressive with these really good early game units. Okay, so how can we pair something up here? So it's an interesting choice. I don't think we ever go for this Heimerdinger. I talked about having either a combat-oriented champion or a spell-oriented champion, and Heimerdinger is, a spell-oriented champion. And so, what I typically mean by that is, what are we going to get value out of as far as, say, like a Sharpened Resolve is concerned? It's tough to find spots in a Heimerdinger deck to where you want to be playing Sharpened Resolve, to where if, say, we have this Draven paired up with, I don't know, Vi. Vi likes to get into combat. She can get better usage out of these +3/+2s. We're not really getting Heimerdingers in combat and playing combat tricks on him. And so there's just not a lot of overlap of goodness between the Draven and the Heimerdinger. And so, a similar thing could be said about Lee Sin. We did just pass up on him in Pack 1, but now how do we feel about him in Pack 2? And kind of the interesting thing with Lee Sin here is, we can pick up Reforges. Reforges being a great way to, pop off the spells with him. Draven has access to all of them. And then we can also look to give Lee Sin Overwhelm. which is again, very powerful with him. If you're not familiar, if he's flipped and he has Overwhelm, he does the Dragon Kick. It does his attack to your opponent's face, and then since there's not a blocker, he just overwhelms all the damage through. And so I think this will be a pretty reasonable pairing. We typically with these, we'll just be looking for these really early game cards. Claws of the Dragon is something I typically try to pursue pretty heavily in these decks, and then we're starting off with pretty good cards here. So let's take the Lee Sin. We'll get him pulled up and talk about him just a little bit more. Because, very, very specifically with Lee Sin, the things that I like to specifically call out with him are we can't be playing the same, like multiple spells in the same turn that don't give us another card or another spell. And so what I mean by that, we can't be playing Whimsy and Spirit's Refuge in the same turn. We can do it once, right? But beyond the first time, it drains so many cards out of our hand, we can't just keep popping off with our Lee Sin. So we're going to be looking for these spells that generate multiple spells. That's where you'll get like a Sonic Wave. The card Retreat does the same thing. I just don't recommend that you play it. Key Guardian, counts as a spell and draws a card. You got Scales of the Dragon and Concussive Palm being units that generate spells. Deep Meditation generating 2 spells. And so those are the kind of cards that we're really like looking to pursue here, right? Just so that we have, put something on the board and get an incidental spell, or, we play a spell that gives us a unit like Concussive Palm. And so, to that end, all of the Reforged units play fantastically here. We get a unit on the board. They all have reasonably attacky stats, so they can actually defend well is the way I'm kind of interested in having those Reforged units. And then picking up the Riven sword pieces give us some spells to pop off with. And then, of course, amongst the Riven spell pieces, you have the ones that give us Overwhelm. And so if we don't find something like Kato the Arm, it's fine. We have ways to give Lee Sin Overwhelm. So cool. Let's see how this goes. Let's see how this pops off. And so, the thing I do have to call out here quickly is, we really want all of these Ionia packs showing up. We're very rarely going to be having like a wide board for something like Crowd Favorite, and there's kind of like very specific spells that we're looking for Lee Sin, and so I think we do want to go ahead and just pursue going after the Ionia pack, and then I don't really want to be taking a pack out of Noxus unless it gives us a Reforge, or if it gives us Overwhelm. And so if we have, say, like the card Might, okay, if we have Kato the Arm, that's great. Otherwise, we're going to be looking for one of these Reforged cards. And not very much else. So, as far as this pack goes, I think I'm just going to go ahead and take the Spirit's Refuge Twin Disciplines. Like, this is, the classic, I can't play both of these spells in the same turn, but they're both, something that we're going to want at least one copy of. And things like Jeweled Protector don't play too well in these style of decks. He really wants to be in a deck full of elusives. So, okay, man, these packs are turds. Looks like we're getting stuck with the Steel Tempest Concussive Palm. Again, we're not going to be doing a Noxus Overwhelmed or a Noxus Allegiance deck, and then Usari Will of Ionia don't really play to our Lee Sin theme. These again are cards that play quite well with elusives. So at least we'll get the Concussive Palm here. Okay, here's the Noxus stuff we're talking about. Just picking up a Runeweaver Weapon Hilt, very strong, very fantastic. Very happy to pick these up. Okay, alrighty, and so here we're going to have to go in for the Claws of the Dragon. It's not like the end of the world to get stuck with some Jeweled Protectors, like putting this bonus on a Draven or a Lee Sin is pretty okay. If we end up with a Horns of the Dragon, like I typically recommend, I didn't talk about it, but I typically recommend picking up one Horns of the Dragon. Plays well with this also, but Claws of the Dragon is the big one we're looking for here. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Can't see a better pack. Claws of the Dragon, Sonic Wave, just actual everything we're looking for. Okay, all right. Well, here I can get behind Legion Drummer. Our Lee Sin doesn't really need this kind of effect, but if we want to attack with him without barrier, this can really help. If we do come across a, get stuck with like a Usari, or if we pick up a, one of the Noxus challengers, then I could see it doing something. But I'm mainly interested in the Runeweaver here, and then just an early game play, just something to put down on the board in the early game. Okay, see, like the Trifarian Glory Seeker, if we manage to pick it up. But that's not who we're going to pick up here. I want this Blade Squire more than anything. Than the Saboteur, not, ideal in this style of deck, but he can at least do a little something. And then what do we think about Shunpo? I've never, what level of greed am I really willing to go here? Are we ever going to like Shunpo Lee Sin? I mean, that sounds fantastic. I can't think of a better thing to be doing, but That seems a little greedy. I think it's a little greedy. So let's just go with the Key Guardian and the Swole Squirrel. Man, Shunpo Lee Sin. If that was like a better card than Reckless Trifarian, I probably would have snatched that up. But nonetheless, here we go. We've got a couple more Reforges. That's going to work out for me. And we've got a pretty good unit to spell ratio at this point. I haven't talked about it, but I typically look for a, kind of a 50-50 split between units and spells. But, a bunch of our units generate spells. And so it's okay that we aren't really balanced out here. Blade Squires, Rune Weavers generating spells. And so pretty safe. All right, so with this one, I'm kind of leaning towards this Mentor in the Twin Disciplines, just to have our second Twin Disciplines. We don't really need any more beyond that one, but we're getting a nice little aggressive curve together here. I think these will be okay. How's our top end look? We might need to just take the Jolt Protector though. Lee Sin's big weakness is that you only have one copy. All right, once we get to 3 copies of Lee Sin, we're pretty safe as far as he's concerned. But when these round 1 and round 2, I should say 0, 1, and 2. We do have to have a bit more top end. So let's at least just pick up another protector. I'll feel a little bit safer here. Oh man, I would just take all 6 of these. Yeah, that's quite the set of cards. But let's take the Claws of the Dragon. These are a little bit more rare than just the kind of rando Reforges, and Legion Rearguard's not a card that we're specifically looking for here. Okay, what do we think about Monastery of Hirana? Actually, arguably the worst landmark in the game, but it does give us the access to playing Rune Weavers over and over again and playing Dravens over and over again. That as soon as that comes out of my mouth, that just sounds horrible. So let's pick up the 1 Deep Meditation, and then the Key Guardian, of course, always fine. Okay, and then the last one. I'm good to get rid of some Key Guardians. It's a card I usually just want 1 or 2 of, and I wouldn't be upset if we had 0 of, but it's something that you can quickly end up with 4 or 5 of, which can be super, super awkward. These get really weird at the end of the game when it's turn 9 and we're just trying to close it out with Lee Sin, but we can't cast Key Guardian because we don't have any units in our hand. That's what tends to happen when you have 4 and 5 and 6 of these things. But again, Sonic Wave is just ultimately super, super powerful here. We do have that 1 Legion Drummer and some of these Reforges to give stuff quick attack. It's good. It's good. I love this Reforged Lee Sin deck. But before we kick it off, we do have to go and level someone up. Something needs to become premium before we get into the trial. And I can't remember what all... all these commons, I play these frequently. And so I'm trying to think. I think we're going to have to be on the spells. I know Legion Drummer is. We got Key Guardian, maybe Sonic Wave. I think we're done with all the units. Scales of the Dragon I'll have to check on. He would be the last one. Oh, we could do Concussive Palm. No, it's rare. Oh man, life is hard. I hope I don't have to do it. I'm not going to have to do a rare, but... Alright, it's going to have to be a spell, though. So let's check on Sonic Wave, and then if Sonic Wave isn't done, then we'll do Weapon Hilt. So let's take a peek. Cards. Yeah, see, it's really unfortunate. I wish there was some kind of extra animation or something that went along with this, right? Because if we play Sonic Wave, it just bursts and our opponent doesn't get to see it. I guess technically it will put a prismatic radiant strike, resonating strike in our hand. And so if our opponent's looking at our hand, they can see that shiny resonating strike is there. But there's nothing to really show our opponents that hey, I dropped top dollar on this pay to win game. And you're only losing because my Sonic Waves are premium, right? You just play it and it disappears. And so it's a little unfortunate. So I think Riot should probably go in and add additional animations for every single card in the game for the prismatics. Get to Kraken. hire a new junior dev or something and get to Kraken. So with this, I think Draven's powerful enough to keep here, even though that we're on the even attacks, and then we just got to look for some early game plays. Is this Ezreal Zoe? Turn 1 Zoe would be a little bit challenging for us to deal with. And get in there. So what up to my Reforges? And then, Draven doesn't play the worst with Lee Sin, right? He puts Spinning Axes in our hand. It could be a generated spell at some point.
Sure, boss.
Do something. Concussive Palm is rare. I never realized that. Man, we gotta get these shiny tail of the dragons.
Need a hand, little star? The party has arrived.
This should be a safe Draven, right? I mean, we could technically bank here and then play him next turn with Sharpened Resolve, but the only card that should ever be issue here is Get Excited. So I think it's safe enough to just run him out. And are we ever willing to discard any of this stuff to take down a Spring Guardian? And I'm kind of okay with discarding this +2 attack fragment. If it was a Overwhelm, then I might consider it more. And if this was a 3 Lee Sin deck, I might consider it more. But it's pretty tough for us to even draw Lee Sin at this point, and so I'm not going to be like super upset about it. Kind of want to play Spirit's Refuge just because it's more expensive.
Time for the moneymakers.
There you go. Get the moneymakers out there. Okay.
My beautiful face.
All right, so we do need to draw another unit now. Our plan B here is let's get these Jeweled Protectors going. I don't want a Jeweled Protector or Legion Saboteur, but I mean, if that's what it comes down to, that is a ton of stats to be adding to the board next turn. Okay. I don't think we're super interested in just like the extra point of damage right here. Let's boost out the Blade Squire. Okay. Do something cool. You gonna make us quick attack instead?
How can I help?
I hope that was mod.
God, I feel like he's trying to be clever. Go. Totes my goats.
I'll show the hunters.
Safety first.
Okay. Perhaps he wasn't. Alright, but we do have a pretty good chance to just get wider than him next turn on our next attack, right? Concussive Palm something, get the unit out of it. Damn, we could double Concussive Palm on the next attack. Where can we be at? We'd be at 8, 11 mana, so we could double Concussive Palm and Sharpened Resolve. Interesting. How close to lethal is that going to be? 6 + 5 is 11, 7's 18. Maybe.
I have my orders.
Sure. Yeah, win this quick though. Yeah, oh man, he snatched that one off. Oh man. Can't hand read in this game. Can't tell where that one came from, if that was the one he just snapped off or how it went, but if he has the thing that gives like the supernova, either supernova or the other thing that hits like everything with 3 or less attack, like both of these would be pretty abysmal for us. But if he just picks up like units or meteor showers or whatever, we're pretty okay. Yeah, supernova. We'll hit for 12. We can plus 3 if we want to hit for 15.
For the poetry of battle.
You will not live
Probably a little
long
greedy.
with that attitude.
Alright, well, we need something good now. Man, missing that supernova being obliterate's brutal. Needing to just get one more fragment for a Riven Sword. This is plus 2 attack. We'll be picking up the Overwhelm one, right? You discarded plus 2 attack to the Spinning Axe. Here's quick attack, so we'll pick up Overwhelm next. Is this Eclipse Dragon? Yep, it's fine.
I write the rules of power.
Still Tempest, perfect. Said no one ever.
My words bring power to men. In position.
Face me.
Behind you.
Hey. Oh, it says stun an attacking enemy. It's like I was sitting here worrying. It's like, man, I wonder if he plays like Barrier Lifesteal. I know it's an Ionia card and he can't play it, but like, what if he plays Barrier Lifesteal, and then we're out here just you know, stunning our own unit to get it out of combat. Not the way life goes. We've got to have at least one card. We can most certainly beat a Mystic Shot. Let's see what he brings. Nice. We did it, team. We did it without Lee Sin. Okay, we're taking all the Lee Sins. This is not a particularly interesting one. I'm happy with 3 Concussive Palms, but I don't really like having more than 1 Spirit's Refuge. It's not the end of the world, but it tends to get a little expensive. It's very easy to stack up on too many 4-cost cards. But be okay here. Oh, man. Interesting. Dude playing Nasus Kindred, and he chose to go for the Nasus. Alright, so do we ever discard anything here? I think this is a fine start. You can even do this stuff to where we like Sonic Wave and then discard the Resonating Strike if we don't have mana, like discard the Resonating Strike to Spinning Axe or something. We can do stuff. Cutesy little things.
Words of power linger in the air. See
Okay.
your death.
It can be kind of a worrisome deck, you know, if they're starting out with Hapless Aristocrats. It's very good against a lot of what we're doing. Not the case. Oh. Okay.
It is written.
I have the best job.
Alright, I don't think we need to like overgreed this yet. We can get these plays where we make
We march as one. And
a Key Guardian Tails of the Dragon, Claws of the Dragon. have to see if that's the kind of thing that's going to come up here. Missed out of mana. Too greedy to do this stuff. Just to get like such a chunk in, but I don't want to just like spew our wad just to deal with like a single Mist Wraith. This is fine. I'm just not like thoroughly convinced that he's actually a Mist Wraith deck. Okay. But I mean, we'll be fully banked on mana now. We can still make these like cutesy Claws of the Dragon plays next turn if we need to. And we can still get like Jewel Protector down. So I mean, we can't do this stuff to where we're gonna like, you know, Spinning Axe plus Key Guardian a Claws of the Dragon and just burst it down onto his board. I mean, we can do cool stuff. I'm all about doing cool stuff. I don't know. Sometimes our opponents disagree, but that's what I'm typically here for. Okay. Yeah, we have to do this. So Claws of the Dragon gets the Key Guardian. Yeah, Spinning Axe. You just want to discard Spinning Axe. Do we ever lose this game if we don't take this aggression? Like, how invested in this Draven are we? Like, can we take a 6-hit or do we need to just block? I think we probably just need to block. We'll get another axe out of it, so it's a pretty good deal. Then we still have Big Boy back here. The thing that kind of interests me in these games like this is, you know, if this deck really wants to get rolling, it just has to have like dudes on board. You know, you have to have something to sacrifice, and so if we're cutting them down to just like one unit, you know, it really does away with their dudes on board factor.
See the world from behind a basilisk.
See how this plays out. We have the cheap Deep Meditation should we want it. We got a can stun Kindred or we can Sonic Wave Kindred. I think we'll probably just go for the Sonic Wave.
No one's the wiser.
He only has 1 mana, so we can't interact with him.
Grasping claws.
Okay. Cool. Good stuff's happening.
We stand in the footprints of past.
We can Ribbon Sword now if we want. Let's just do this. Let's start with Deep Meditation. Okay. It's kind of scary that we could be like playing into Vengeance, but this is all still reasonable here. I'm just going to Spirit's Refuge into this Nasus and then stun him next turn, I think. I don't want him
You lack subtlety.
getting big blocks on us if we're going to make an Overwhelm play. Hang on, we should have just Weapon Hilted. Hang on. Okay, we've still got a Weapon Hilt. Would ideally have a stronger unit if we're gonna go all in on Riven here, but or on Riven Sword. But I mean, we have plenty of time, and depending on how this plays out, we can barrier the unit before we play it. So do you ever want to do that? Do you want like 2? It's 4 for the sword, 6, 7. We can do it.
Join the hunters, they said.
It's not lethal though. It's the only big problem here, right? Oh, he's doing something. Alright, let's see if we can't punch something in.
Shall we, dear wolf?
I'm ready,
Of course.
little lamb.
Okay.
I'll show the hunters.
But at least, like, we're safe in the sense that, you know, we don't have to be in combat, arguably, for the rest of the game. But how does he have Nasus on the left, but he's played Kindred twice? Oh, did he really get Kindred back with Scrap of Sorrows? Wow.
Sisters.
Must be nice. Must be nice to be that lucky. Jeez. I thought I realized right from the start that he'd had two Nasus. Like, I made the comment on it, right? That was so weird to me that he brought these out. Okay, well, let's get the Ballista down. Let's get a bank in. And maybe we can kill with, like, a Concussive Palm. Like, you know, there's two ways we could go about it. We can either just Concussive Palm the unit on board, or we can just kind of go all in with our Ballista, right? And then Concussive Palm whatever blocks it. But I think we got to get some of this stuff into combat. Okay. Pretty far away from lethal now as well. But what if we say... Or did he just stop on like a black spear or something? I think we want to do this. Let's quick attack. We're going to overwhelm. It's going to give us a Riven Sword. We're going to Riven Sword here. No vengeance, please. It's like the thing is, like, I just don't think we have the time to sit around and wait on a Lee Sin. What's this? This seems like something I'm not going to approve of. It's just going to mark here. Okay. And he's hit like... Okay, I guess this wasn't a generated Doom Beast. It's like he's generated all the Doom Beasts with these stupid cards. Alright, let's get the damage in while we can. Awesome. Okay. Well, you know, that game was just destined to not be, right? If you're going to run into that pile of luck. The only thing that the guy was missing was the Hapless Aristocrat on the first turn for the full fuck you. But nonetheless, that's done with, thankfully. So on to the next one. So, I mean, as far as these go, definitely not trading out Runeweaver. I'm not opposed to having like one copy of Deny, but I'm kind of happy with these Key Guardians where we're at, so I don't want to just dive in on it. And we're happy with our 2 Spirits Refuges. The Legion Saboteur doesn't play to our combos or anything, but I don't want a big stack of Refuges in our deck, so I'm just going to go ahead and skip this one. I did pretty good. I didn't get like ultra salty having to play against Kindred. Like, it's of course abysmal, and you think you've dealt with it, and your opponent, like, it's their 1-7 or their 1-8 to bringing back with that abysmal Scribe of Sorrows, but you can only giggle about it. Let's see. No one Steel Tempest even against Zed. Probably don't want Weapon Hilt either. We're not going to have any quick attacks here to start with. Okay. Let's see what we can do with this Swole Squirrel. Load him up with some items here.
I hope that was mud. Finally, some action.
Got a card. Blade's Edge. Got it. Blanc is that? Gotta double check.
Victory requires a sharp blade.
These hands know metal and magic.
For glory, face me!
Remember
Overwhelm
me.
into. Okay. It's not a lot going on here, but we have some cool plays we can make here in the future. Taking 1/5 hit's not a big deal. Would be a second tick on reputation, so this stuff isn't cheap yet. I think we'll get some cool. We're gonna get some cool stuff going next turn. We're gonna play. We're gonna have Swole Squirrel, Lee Sin, 2 Claws of the Dragons. All the magic is gonna be happening. Afraid we might lose our Swole Squirrel here, though. If he plays like a LeBlanc or a Zed or something, we can't just eat this damage. Hopefully he just opens. Like, how dope would this be if this guy just hits us for 5 and tries to call it a day, you know?
The best
Yeah.
lies are beautiful.
Okay, well, we're taking 10. You got to do your cool thing, now I get to do my cool thing, right?
Beware the dragon spirit.
Really? Oh no! Because if we go to Sonic Wave, it's just gonna kill all of our Claws of the Dragons. I mean, we have to just save our Lee Sin.
Choose the right time to strike.
Oh god!
Our enemies
Fucking
cannot
brutal.
hide.
Fucking brutal.
Ying Yue, you've been in my thoughts.
Oh, Lee, you always did think too much.
Oh, so much for having fun.
My lad, prepare
It's
yourself.
something we've been denied. Alright, well this could be worse though, right? If he opens on us and we hit another spell, then it's pretty good. Well, a spell that we can play. So I should preface it as if we draw a spell we can play.
Conflict is all in the mind.
We can like... Alright, I don't want a Sonic Wave.
Act free of doubt.
Sure. That's that could not be more ideal, right? If we're just worried about him dealing damage, he hit reputation. Could not care less about.
We swim within the flows of
This is good. This is all very good. Don't have quick attack, so we could definitely draw a spell off of this thing.
See the world from behind a basilisk.
It's done our Lee, sure. I think. Okay, I'm on board with this. We're just kind of done as far as spells are concerned. But all of our attacks are very good. He's passing. I do worry that he's gonna play that thing that makes a unit strike another unit. How dead are we if he does that? Because we can't barrier out of it. It really feels like we ought to just be passing here. Okay. There we go. That's the moneymaker. do something like... Our ultimate worry here would be getting hit with a Might. Right, if he hits like Might on Reckless Trifarian. But
Is that all you got?
I think we're okay with something like this. Then we'll be able to generate Riven Sword next turn if we want. Okay. Okay. So we won't be Riven Swording next turn, but still very strong.
Gift from the river folk.
We can do all this next turn. Alright, so the things we want to do are give Lee Sin Overwhelm. Then we need to Resonating Strike, Concussive Palm this River Shaper. We ever lethal here with the second Resonating Strike? So get him up to 6+. We just spew all this, right? Well, we should have, hang on. We should have put that last, oh, I don't know. If we get hit with like Will of Ionia or something, I'm happier to have spread out the damage, but we can't get the full O2K if he has an answer to the Iron Ballista. I don't know what the right answer is here. We should probably just like guarantee the 10. I think this still counts if he has Will of Ionia, right? Okay, just dead.
Waters are still.
Oh, no, that countered. Interesting. I've never seen that interaction. The Dragon Kick getting countered by removing the unit.
Tales of our past are seeds for our future.
Don't think we care like a whole lot about this stuff. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, he knows that's coming. Nope, if okay. I wanted to go ahead and do this now, so we go ahead and get the unit on the board. What? What? Fucking F.
I hate having to put my
Where's this stuff even come from? Alright. Opify and Mimic. Certainly cards, and man, we can't full combo Lee Sin this turn.
You cannot win.
Well, the 8. Okay. We have the Spirit's Refuge should we need it. And we're I guess if we, stop being the recalls, it doesn't really matter, but I'd rather him, maybe we should have blocked the Concussive Palm.
I have the best job.
Alright, so at least we're guaranteed 2 spells next turn, right? If we draw a unit, we can still get around it here. Alright, let's try this again. No overwhelms, a little bit scary, but maybe we'll finally get the 6 damage dragon kick in. Never know. I've been trying for days.
I will teach you.
Oh man, he isn't just giving up. Oh man. What is it this time? Okay. Alright, we're lethal now.
I whisper truth
Man,
into
that was a
lies.
struggle.
My beautiful face.
Alright, we got there in the end. Jeez. Nopeify. Some people just don't like to have fun, man.
You, dragon.
Come out here. You're gonna make this cool play with all the little dragon dudes coming down, and you can play the fucking Reckoning. Learn to have fun, buddy. But okay, this is fine. I'm happy to pick up a Horns of the Dragon. Again, another unit that plays extremely well with what our deck is doing. You know, you typically want to pick these up like earlier than later, because the same thing you're doing with Lee Sin, you're just doing with Horns of the Dragon, right? Lee Sin's, of course, a little bit better, but you give this guy Overwhelm, he's going to chunk in for a ton of damage, and ultimately, very important to have one copy, in my opinion. It's not like ultra important, but it's more important than having an Iron Ballista. Alrighty, when it comes down to it, and you're playing, getting your big Lee Sin plays going, you're going to have the 2 Claws of the Dragon come down with Reckoning on the stack, and you can still pull out the game. That's what it's all about right there. 4 out of every 11 players would have just rage quit there, but not us. Carried it to victory. Okay, what can we do here? I typically do not recommend keeping Lee Sins. But when we only have 2 copies, I'm kind of okay with it. But since we picked up the Horns, I think I'm leaning towards just getting rid of him again. And so I think he's good to go. We'll hang on to the Claws, see if we can't pick up, like, you know, a Reforge plus a spell or something, like a Reforge plus a Key Guardian or something. Just some kind of big early play that we could do with these Claws. I got one of those, man. Look at this. Mine's way better, though. We're totally getting the fragment we want. He's not getting the fragment he wants. Look at that. Yeah, we got Overwhelmed. I bet he got Overwhelmed, too. This isn't the one we wanted. I don't know what fragment we would even want here. I don't think it's relevant at this exact stage of the game. Probably just want, like, quick attack first every time, right? Not every time, but most of the time. Okay.
To serve the greater good.
Okay, all right. We've done this before with Braum. We had a fun video with this, right? It looks like, you know, he's playing Darius as opposed to Braum, but being able to come out and, you know, have a lot of ways to give Braum +2 attack is pretty big deal with all these Reforges. Do we ever just, like, spew off this concussive palm? I mean, it depends on what bro's gonna do here, right? But say he just, like, opens. And then we concussive palm a Rune Weaver.
Power linger in the air.
Because I don't want to just take 6 against Darius, right? Darius flipping is ultimately rather scary. But... okay. So we don't get a block this way. We have 3 units on board. Then we'll be at 4 mana next turn, which is, you know, a fairly easy turn to just skip over. We're just losing out on 1 mana, and then we'll be fully banked for our like Lee Sin Jolt Protector turns. I think I'm okay with this. Does he change it? I don't want him playing Braum. So let's just go ahead and get in. The 1 unit isn't a huge deal here, I don't think. He's probably just going to come in and trade with Tail of the Dragon, Claws of the Dragon. We have a 3/2 on board, but him adding Braum's pretty disastrous. Like, I know he only has 1 copy, but really, you suspect that's like, yeah, you want the tail, right? This will do things in the future. these claws are done. There's a world where we play like Homecoming onto Tail of the Dragon.
A misstep.
Is it the mustache? Who knows?
Look at that. I don't want to say I called my shot, but man, called the shot, right? Okay. Boost up the old Lee Sin. Pretty far away from getting a flip on him, though. Feels like we've done a lot of stuff this game. We should have more spells going. Okay. Why? Nothing scary about this thing. We'll just block it.
Have you met my shield? Ha! This is fun, yes?
Okay. Got his thing. Cool.
It is easy, see?
Let's see if he's got any of those frostbite type cards. But we could do like reasonable stuff here. It's not even a big deal to we don't have to, you know, resonating strike to take down his Braum. Still have good attacks into his thing here. Definitely want to play both spells this turn though, so let's do this. Give Challenger to you.
Our enemies cannot hide.
It's my time.
The dragon remembers.
Prepare yourself.
Something like this. Maybe we should have just gone. I think we should have probably just gone ahead and resonating struck the Blade Squire. What does he ever do? I guess there's a world where he plays like +3/+4 onto his Braum. But it's going to take us to 11. Your dude's still here? Okay.
Yeah!
We can kinda handle a Darius. Well, if we have enough spells. I guess that might be a kind of a bigger ask here, since we don't have any spells in our hand, but
Victory requires a sharp blade.
I write the rules of power.
this could be bad. I did the mathematics. This could actually be bad.
I'm cold, I'm hungry, and there's rocks in me boots. I won't
Got rocks
stand
in the
by.
boots.
You are brave, young one.
I feel like Lee Sin's gonna go down. You're gonna die, aren't you, friend? Death Sand. Okay. It's pretty tough for us to get like real invested in him, though, right? If he has a scorched earth, then he, you know, Lee Sin's just kind of asking to get blown up at some point. Did that Riven Sword him? Yeah.
I'll cut them apart. You're mine. Remember me.
Interesting. How are we going to handle this next turn? I think we can just go ahead and play Legion Drummer now, because we're going to have to play Dragon's Protection before we can attack, and then we just give quick attack to Legion Drummer so that we have 2 spells on the stack before he's able to play a slow. I think it seems reasonable. And this Spirit's Refuge could be a big pickup for when he's about to drop Darius on us, right? His whole game plan feels like he's just trying to get us into Darius range. Turns out we have 11 health blocker for for the Darius.
My lands need me.
I'll show the hunters.
Center your spirit.
Well, is this the most important one? He's going to get to dish out and overwhelm.
Prepare yourself.
I think we do this. He's just going to take the 3 here. Might put Blade Squire in front, which is okay. But I think the disaster here would be as if this became a 5-2 or a 5-1, whatever, 5 attack, and then he puts Riven Sword on it. Just get that out of here. What up, Lee Sin's friend? Very premium, much premium on the Horns of the Dragon. Okay.
The dragon speaks through me.
Then let it roar.
So I mean, he knows we can't do anything with Lee Sin, but we have a ton of stats on board. So if he has some kind of weird play, we have a additional layer of protection here.
Finally, some action.
You're not getting through.
Can't say I approve of that, friend. Good game. Oof. All right. Should be enough, right? Yep.
It's my time.
Guess we should we shouldn't have just spewed that. We should have played that on Lee Sin, but I don't think it's going to be relevant. I mean, I guess he could have drawn a Flash Freeze, right? It would be a damage short if he just drew Flash Freeze. So yeah, we should have put that on Lee Sin. But you know what? That's not what I'm all about. Okay, I'm about making the bad plays so you all can be judgmental out there at home. All right. Of course, we got to pick up our 3rd Lee Sin. Not a very good one. I'm like kind of okay with Eye of the Dragon and decks of this style. Not really wanting 3 Jeweled Protectors though. But see what it takes to get our 3rd Lee Sin. Okay. Diana and Nocturne. Do we ever keep a Key Guardian? Probably not. I don't really want to. I think if I had Claws of the Dragon in my hand, then I'd be okay with keeping Key Guardian. Otherwise, I think it's just a mulligan.
Join the hunters, they said.
Night flowers
Sure.
upon my blade. You cannot hold us down.
Cannot hold us down. Preach it, Diana. Preach it. Get the old +2 attack fragment.
behind a basilisk.
Okay. Probably going to be an open. Yep.
It's my time.
Right, this is not a super hand, but you know, the big thing with Diana is her, you know, supremely good 1, 2, and 3 drops, and you know, if our opponent's just not going to play any units till the 4th turn, that has to be advantageous for us. Interesting, he plays Fearsome Dog on not his attack token. Why?
For truth.
Okay. So do we just like Concussive Palm, actual anything here, and then just bank up 3 spell mana? Interesting. He's gonna have a sapling next turn. Then he did this to play Crescent Guardian. So we're just never gonna get a Lee Sin going next turn. We're just gonna play Jeweled Protector next turn. This is fine.
Forgive me.
I've got the reins.
Okay, this is good. And then we get to bank up this 3 mana. Could make a big quick attack play, but I think here, you know, we're doing just fine. Not doing anything, just building up a handful of cards.
Need a hand, little star?
None of this is worth Sonic Waving.
Mother Moon, veil me.
And we can't do this thing next turn where we can like play Lee Sin and then try and Concussive Palm down one of his units.
Whatever the cost, forgive me.
I just want to prevent the damage, right? You could like Vengeance our Lee Sin, but he's never going to kill him with damage, and so I'll feel pretty safe just slamming him down. I guess he could like double Black Spear Lee Sin, and if he's got that, he's got us.
Extend your senses. The dragon himself.
And, you know, like at worst, you know, he plays Vengeance, he plays double Black Spear, whatever his play of choice is. Then we still just have Lee Sin plus 2 spells next turn that we can play. So
Compassion is never
should be good. Seems like it should be good.
Darkness hides my path.
I would like to deal with some of these things. Let's do this. Let's Legion Drummer. I'm going to quick attack the Drummer, and then I'm going to both Diana. Oh, Diana, you're going to die. Why would he put Diana down here? Just to get a Nightfall? Oh.
My lands need me. Prepare yourself. Face me.
Do we have to even kill Diana? I mean, I'm mainly worried about these elusives.
Prepare yourself.
If we're going to be real about this, right?
The dragon lives.
And I want this guy just to be out here doing whatever, because it feels like he has another unspeakable horror. Do we ever care about Diana? Like, worst case scenario, she comes down and tries to get some kind of like hook kill on our Lee Sin. Like, that's never happening, right? I don't care. This just feels like another one of these turns we should have Resonating Struck and we didn't.
Moonlight guide me.
Alright, that feels better. Steve played Pale Cascade and that didn't make me feel bad about not resonating striking.
Brothers, sisters.
So now, right, he lost his big chunk of aggression. There could have been a world where, you know, he was able to lethal us with all those elusives and just like block our ground game, but taking that off the board is huge. Rummel.
Only leave to know the joy of return.
No one's the wiser.
This is all fine. We have the Lee Sin answer to this Rummel.
Cloaked in silver light.
Okay.
Night descends. Face your heritage.
Interesting. Okay. The thing with that attack is it didn't do anything. it just did 2 damage. That's not the end of the world. Alright, here's this awkward spot I was talking about with Key Guardians. And we don't have an Overwhelm for Lee Sin, which is kind of annoying. And kind of annoying piece too is if he wants to Dragon Kick Rummel, he'll Spell Shield the Dragon Kick. But I mean, we can play around all this. Life will be okay. Are we still in this same boat where, you know, we don't really care about what he's doing as long as we kill his elusives? I guess it's kind of a different story as far as Diana's concerned, as far as like, you know, let's say Diana hooks Lee Sin and Lee Sin can't block Rummel. So maybe we should just go ahead and attempt to deal with Diana. Then on the flip side, why don't we just kill Rummel? I guess we can do it this way. You can have Challenger.
Our enemies cannot hide.
You can have Resonating Strike. Don't feel like we need to play any of these other ones.
The dragon spirit awakens. My lands need me. Center your spirit. Face me.
I get behind this.
Everything's in place. Behind ya.
So we can't get a value block with the Spring Guardian now. He gets bonus attack, it doesn't matter.
Fear not death.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Hide no longer.
Just cycling, right? There's nothing coming out of that. He could give his thing here super elusive if he wanted. Really gonna Pale Cascade out of this Dragon Kick? He needs like 2 more.
Why are you here?
That has to be so good for us, right? He's just cycled away so much
Oh,
potential
dear.
damage.
Oh, dear.
Okay.
Listen.
Protect them.
A mistake.
Alrighty.
I thank you, dragon.
No, I thank you, Dragon. Let's see. What do we have here? Don't want any more Jeweled Protectors, not trading away Blade Squires or Claws, so this is a pretty easy skip. I'm curious, so thinking if I trade like a Jeweled Protector for a Sharpened Resolve like the other way, I'd probably go for that. Our top end is getting a little high as far as units are concerned, but this one here itself, easy skip. Alright, alright. Excuse me. The Enlightenment. Oh no. Trundle Karma. It's gonna get to 10 mana. So let's see what we can do here. I hit the dragon. Just, I mean, it should be fine. It doesn't seem spectacular in this match, but at least got some cool stuff we can do in the early game. If this was against like a Noxus deck, this is the kind of draw we'd want against like that dude that was playing the Reckoning against us. He would come out with these.
Finally, some action.
Come out with these, you know, lifesteal units, make a Key Guardian play, with all kinds of things we could do.
I fight with my spirit.
Uh-oh. How high is he rolling? Let's watch it. Oh, fuck, he hit it. Can't stand this card. It's just such a high roll card. Right, you have to have the 8-cost card in your hand, or it doesn't do anything. Like the way I think the like Beholds would be reasonable, are you have like generators, right? You have cards like Trundle that put the Behold card into your hand, and you don't specifically have to just like, you know, put together some kind of combination of cards that'll just get this going. All right, I think this is okay. Let's start with Draven. I want to see if he plays Trundle here. If he plays Trundle, we can try to Resonating Strike Concussive Palming. Oh, hang on, Kinky Guardian. So we need to do this. Give Draven Challenger. Give Draven Resonating Strike.
Clear your head. Let your instincts speak.
Gonna have to do this. Do we discard Key Guardian or Weapon Hilt? I think I'd rather cycle here. Do an ally 1. That will be Draven.
Now we're cooking.
It's my time.
Let's do this.
Okay. I would assume this 3/1's going to trade with our 3/2. Yep. But no, it's like this card. It just, I don't know. Ramp is at like such a weird spot to where, the chances for it to be like too good are pretty high.
I taste purple. Yay.
Okay. And then, if you want to push it down to be not too good, you run into things like this. I really just don't like these super high rolly cards. Okay, so what are we going to do here? We do have the boosted Saboteur, which we probably want to give a Key Guardian to.
Words of power.
I think this is all we can do is go wide and go in, right? Looks like we could technically make some kind of like quick attack play here. Doesn't seem that great. And it's like ultimately with this, right? There's like this very small window where this card is actually ever any good. It's like specifically on turn 2 when you have an 8-cost card in your hand. And then otherwise, like drawing it on like in the late game just doesn't do anything. And it's so hard to actually have one of these expensive cards in your hand. If there was something like, say like in Magic, there's a card called like Fierce Empath. It's like a 3/3 that goes and tutors up an expensive unit out of your deck. Like stuff like that's fine. I think it's like ultimately abysmal and frustrating for both sides of the equation to see cards like Faces of the Old One, that 4/3 troll for 2 mana. Like, it's either just like super good in like very rare situations, or it's just super bad. And that's in the super good situations, you just have me sitting here bitching about it over the entire course of the match, and then in the times when it's bad, it has to feel bad for our opponent. So probably just going to lose Draven here. We can technically, have another Spinning Axe should we need to, but it doesn't feel like we'll probably survive this combat. Just done with this. Okay.
You suck.
Okay, so I mean, seems reasonable. Still just need like something to do. Our board isn't good enough to just like come out outright win this game. Yep, this is problematic now. We just have I don't think we can play any more spells until we come across like a Lee Sin. So if he blocks our big, we're looking at 7, 10, 13, 14. Yeah, it's nowhere near lethal. The question, I think we have to quick attack our Swell Scroll though.
It sings to me. In position.
Not all mean well.
Let's do something like this. So if he wants to like kill our Eye of the Dragon, we don't really care. But like, you know, kind of the downside with this attack is if he wants to kill our big unit, you know, he can. And so we want to at least force this way over on the left, so he only gains 1 health if that's what he wants to do. Taking down Eye of the Dragon is fine. And this hopefully gives us another avenue to victory with our Swell Squirrel here. I would say at least at this point we can kind of like assume that he doesn't have barriers, right? If he had a barrier, he would probably be like attacking on his turn. So barrier lifesteal card probably doesn't have. Frostbites are certainly on the menu though. Okay. Nothing here can survive Usgar, so gotta kind of let that happen. You do have the Spirit's Refuge for the Soul Squirrel, but I mean, it's not going to. We don't have any way to give it Overwhelm.
You'll wanna give me some space.
Ina.
Promise.
Okay.
I've got 3 warnings for you.
These hands know metal and magic.
Focus earthward, aim skyward.
Crack ice and flesh.
So, played 1. We can get this Riven Sword. Seems pretty reasonable. Not like stoked about it, but you know, I think it's fine. We have big scales of the dragon that we can put this stuff on. I just think if this game like continues to go on, we're never winning. So I think we probably have to kind of go all in on our scales of the dragon here.
Cuts here.
My words bring power to metal.
Let's see what this pulls in. I mean,
He has told me about
you can't just put Usgar in front of it, but guess we technically could have played the Saboteur first as well, but I think it's just getting discarded to Spinning Axe. Spirit's Refuge is the only card we're actually playing out of our hand. Yep. Okay. Puts a 0-cost copy in his hand, right?
A masterwork of
Yep.
destruction.
Okay, let's see if he does some dumb shit here, and then we'll just call it a day. Take longer, dude. Come on, just play your card. Play your card. Play your card.
Feet were made for roaming
There you go. Good
and
job.
kicking.
Okay, on to the next one. Okay. So let's see. Cool. We're absolutely happy to get rid of these jeweled protectors. Pick up our third Sonic Wave. Absolutely beautiful. So it feels like we're burned here, right? You know, it's like we just need like some card draw or something. It feels like we're like a little light on cards. It's like we need another Deep Meditation. Maybe a River Shaper. Just something to put more cards in our hand. Feels like we're cycling through too fast. But we don't want to start with it. Okay. And this Eye of the Dragon. I don't know, maybe it's just the matchups we've had, but it doesn't feel like I actually want this thing. We should have a reasonable answer to her before she gets too intimidating. Okay. So, do we have a concussive palm here? I think we do.
Danger noodle.
Okay, so he's going to get the trade onto that, which is fine. Going to concussive palm Zoe. It's going to keep that thing out of his hand. It's going to give us a unit on the board, which we can then Sonic Wave get to Kraken with. Oh man, we have to play it on a. We don't get to do like the full damage combo. That's too bad.
You cannot tell the wind to change direction.
But that's cool, right? Oh no, he's doing stuff. Sure. That's fantastic. Again, with this kind of play, he's not adding anything to the board. So much strength, very strong. Okay. Probably the best 3-drop he could ever hope for here. All right, then we'll just have this full board going into the next turn. Okay. Okay. Alright, so we're probably never going to be lethal. Also, reasonable chance he can just slam this Claws of the Dragon down in the middle of combat next turn. These are safe blocks.
You lack subtlety.
If he has a Hail Cascade, then he's still going to lose. We have the 3 attack into his 2 health.
Even at war, you remain so calm.
Would panicking help, brother?
Well, yeah, Steel Tempest. That's exactly what I was hoping we could draw. Wouldn't be surprised to see that the Claws of the Dragon come down. So much heal, man. How did we make that go away? What happened there? Oh, they put this little minus symbol over here now.
You act, but do not see.
Man, we're only taking him to 10. That feels so brutal. We put in so much good work just to have it drained away. Nice. No targets. We just have to play this, right? 3, 6, 7, still damage short.
The dragon remembers.
All right. Get something happening at some point in time. Unspeakable Horrors as well. Maybe we should have got in with the Eye of the Dragon. Just to push in every damage we could. It's just so bad if he's getting like value blocks and we're having to spend spinning axes on that stuff. It's fine. Yeah, he's drained so much damage.
Invisible to the ignorant.
I don't know if we can even do this with Lee Sin now. He's a fucking mile away from flipping. Okay. We'll still try. Giving up hope yet. He plays this giant. He has the 7+ cost Celestial in his hand, so he could just be dropping a huge unit here. And thank goodness we have this Steel Tempest, though. Thank goodness. Okay.
For truth.
It does afford us the opportunity to get rid of the spell shield and maybe concuss the opponent next turn. Oh man, it didn't do anything. I'm glad you emoted. Oh man. Okay, something, anything. Oh gosh. Brutal. What a brutal game. I mean, I guess we did the requisite amount of damage, but so much health from Doom Beasts in that. Yep. Sure. All right, I'm done with this one. This is silly at this point. It's unfortunate. Like that's what one of the decks that came about in like constructed, right? Right in this like Foundations only constructed as like people were bitching about how good aggro decks were, so they just took like every life game gain card in the game and just put it in the deck, and it was like, well, this is how I beat Noxus. It's kind of what that matchup felt like. You know, life gain, you know, typically is not that good, but there's you know, there's like a certain price point to where it just makes aggro decks never any good, and that's kind of what you run into in the spot like that. You know, we aren't typically, you know, I wouldn't really consider what we're doing as an aggro deck, but is what it is when, you know, you drop all the Claws of the Dragons down when your draw comes together like that, and then, you know, it's just it's a slippery slope of how good life gain is allowed to be on cards when you don't have to pay a cost for it, right? And so, you know, typically the cost on like the thing that you know, like Guiding Light, the cost is, you know, fairly low, but you know where you really run into the places like, well, what if Guiding Light gained like 3 or gained 4, just, you know, as a card that's cycled and gained life, and you know, it's a very slippery slope if the cost gets too high, because you run into games like that where aggro decks just aren't any good because you have to deal 45 damage every game. I mean, I don't know what, you know, the count got up to that game, but it was 4 from Doom Beasts, 5 from whatever gifts from the hand, gifts from the Celestials, and then I can't remember, we played like 2 or 3 Unspeakable Horrors, and so it can, you know, it's tough to have to deal 31-ish damage amidst all the things, and so kind of is what it is. We didn't get there today, but nonetheless, it's still a pretty good run. It felt like this was just missing like just a little bit. You know, it seemed like in this, probably from like win 3 forward, once we picked up our 3rd Lee Sin, that we were just really lacking having enough spells. And I don't know where that exists over here. Looks like, well, apparently this is the problem with our deck. It's 40% spells, 40% units, and 10% champions. I don't know where that remaining 10% of our deck is, but I think that's what the problem was with this trial, right? You got 40 spells, 40% unit, 10% champions. I don't know. There's like a Drake song or something where he's spitting off the percentages in there. About shit, I can't remember, but do we even have a landmark? Like that's where the difference would be, right? But we don't have landmarks. So just just some tough mathematics to put together there. And so nonetheless, yeah, I mean it felt like we were a little bit short on something. Um, we've drafted like extremely similar decks before. I'm pretty sure not our previous Lee Sin run, but there's like one called like Lee Sin Reforged as the deck name, or something Reforged Lee Sin, and that's pretty similar to what this deck was pulling off. But I think ultimately we just ended up with like too many units and then like too much of this utility, and so um, with our trade picks, we were handling some of this, getting rid of Key Guardians, kind of whatever, but it was for Sonic Wave. Iron Ballista was just a straight swap for a better unit, and then Jeweled Protector was for an additional Sonic Wave. That doesn't seem like a trade we made, but ideally, we do have a bit much of these kind of off-theme cards in here, right? There's like Legion Saboteur, Steel Tempest, Sharpened Resolve, too many Twin Disciplines, and then these Jeweled Protectors we don't really want. And so, but I think that really does kind of showcase like the thing I was talking about as to where, you can't be having these turns with Lee Sin to where you're just spewing off Twin Disciplines and Spirit Refuges and whatever this other one is, Sharpened Resolves. It just takes like way too much mana and way too much cards. I can't remember how many times I said just feels like we just need a few more cards. We need a few more cards, and so that's typically where your hand gets drained. These reforges can help out a little bit, but that can't just be like the real meat of it. I think, if we had, I don't know, like one River Shaper or like one more Deep Meditation, we would have been in a much better spot. Or if we could have traded out, some of these uh, more aggressive oriented units like Legion Saboteur and Legion Drummer, we could have been in a little bit more powerful spot. But nonetheless, if you are getting yourself together with this Lee Sin, regardless of whether or not it is paired up with Noxus, the big things I always talk about with every Lee Sin, I can't remember if I touched on them on the draft, so I'll touch on them here again. In the early game, in the draft portion, if you can find a Horns of the Dragon, try to go ahead and take it. If you are this full Lee Sin build around, it is imperative that you draw Lee Sin and get him on the board and doing things. But if you never draw Lee Sin, then what is your backup plan? Your backup plan is Horns of the Dragon. And so, during your one copy games, it is critical to have a copy of Horns of the Dragon, just to have this late game bruiser that can still close things out. Thing number two that we really talk about with Lee Sin is find a way to give him Overwhelm. So here in Noxus, we have all of these reforges. You could get Kato the Arm. You could get the card Might. Everything gives him Overwhelm. If you pair him up with Targon, you can get Zenith Blades. And nowadays, if you pair him up with Shurima, you can get Paydays. And so we did it once or twice this trial where, you have your flipped Lee Sin. He has Overwhelm. You Dragon Kick, do his health to face, and then his attack goes through. And since he has Overwhelm, gets that double damage in. The big Lee Sin OTK. Very important to be able to pull off. Not 100% required. If you aren't in one of those factions, you're going to want to probably just be full on in Ionia, just so you can stack up on all these important cards. Those important cards otherwise being your Claws of the Dragons and your Sonic Waves. And Sonic Wave, shows it off spectacularly. Again, I'm going to say it. We were hurting to have enough spells to play and enough cards to play. Things like Sonic Wave are what gets us to that point, right? So that we can not have to play multiple spells in the same turn. We can just play a single Sonic Wave, and it helps that it's kind of interaction that you don't typically get out of Ionia. Ionia doesn't have any removal spells, so if you really just have Homecoming, Will of Ionia, and then a handful of challengers, and so Sonic Wave quite important as a way to get your units into combat. But yeah, I think that's kind of it. This game together kind of clunkily. It's got some weird games right there at the end to keep us from pushing far. But this is right on the verge of being good enough to go to 7, and with a little bit of a different luck and playing a little better, this probably would have gotten us there. But it's pretty straightforward as far as this goes. I think we hit on all of the important topics as far as Lee Sin is concerned. So let's move on. I think we have a handful of rewards to click on. Oh man, we are almost done with this. 7 days remaining on the thing. Cosmo, that's a dog. Okay. Had to stop and check and make sure it wasn't a cat. So we got him. Looks like we'll be getting Prismatic Azir probably with the next trial. And then let's see. Looks like we're about to finish off the Shurima region road as well. So, we probably got another couple weeks of these rewards, and then your rewards lovers are gonna be running on empty. So I apologize for that. Blame it on Riot because it's totally not my fault. But nonetheless, that will do it for us today. I hope you all learned how to reforge your dragons a little bit better. You maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.